got one last breakout session. The topic was preparing current and future practitioners to integrate research in real practice settings, and Dr. Monique Chung will share.
Thank you. Let's take a deep breath together. 1, 2, 3. Woo. Okay, we have a long list. We're going to stay here until dinner. Okay. Our group is on preparing current and future practitioners in terms of integrating research in the real practice settings. So our key theme is educational links as the key to increase competencies. So I'm going to use competence as the key, each of the letters, okay? How do you spell competence? How do we spell competence? C-O-M-P-E-T-E-N-C-E. Okay, like kindergarten spelling, okay? So C stands for consumption of evidence and actually do it. And I'm going to only summarize key point. I decided not to stay until dinner, so I have like a 10-page summary here. So I type really fast, so it's right here. So, but I summarize it in the competency. So number 1 is consumption of evidence and actually doing it. Number 2 is organizing effort, stand for O. Organizing effort through professional organization involvement, such as including something in the codes of ethics, etc. And M, moving ahead. Okay, so for example, articles published in journal needs to be user-friendly and also have outcome measure and outcome learning or learning expectation or some sort of that. And the next one is P, right? Can't take it for me. So P is problem-focused methods used to assess student learning. Okay, so next one is E. Say it for me so that I can just have a little bit of interaction from you. E is emerging questions. We really asked a lot of questions in this session. I really appreciated the way that everybody was just asking questions and I have to type much faster. So now my typing speed is improving, okay? So emerging questions, we have a list of questions related to, let me read some of the examples. Agency, university partner. I repeated agency twice, did you hear that? Time commitment, resources including expertise use, research process versus methods, and access to research materials. Okay, so those are the questions. And what's the next one? T, thank you very much. It's teacher and practitioner collaborative. Okay, so don't need to talk more about that. You all know what that means. Next one. E stands for evidence. Again, is evidence for use in teaching. Next one. N for negotiating a two-way bridge. I mean, basically what we just talked about earlier about the two-way bridge. And we have a long list about how to do it, including how to engage our practitioner in practice and in research. And next one, almost done, C. Another C is competency-based methods such as using problem-based learning during the classroom learning as well as in the field. Okay. Last one, E. What do you think what that E is?
Evidence.
Well, I already talked about evidence. More evidence. More evidence. Okay. Last E is e-materials. We're in the technology stage, so we actually talk a lot about using materials on the website, such as a lot of them. So a website to track down some of the leading materials that we could utilize in practice and research and teaching, and such as educational links, resource materials, and all that related to evidence-based information, used for not only clinical but also for macro policy advocacy. So that's what we talk about in general terms, using the word competence to represent, but we definitely wanted to have some kind of outcome, okay, from our discussion. So Dr. Tyler, where is it? Volunteer me to do something such as really summarizing all the e-materials to be distributed and disseminated to all of you. So I will be having another play. I thought that my play is very very full. So, but since this is coming from Bruce, I can't say no. So I'm going to have another play of work, and we'll be putting this together for all of you to use. So how do I make sure that I don't upset about that request? Because I practice laughing yoga all the time. So let's try that together. If you laugh, then all the upset, anything that upset you will go away, including what the requests come to you when you have a playful. So let's practice laughing yoga right now. Repeat after me. Ha ha. Ha ha ha. Hee hee ha ha. Hee hee ha ha hee. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Monique and to the group. I was actually in this fifth group and I really enjoyed the conversation. I hope that when you were in your groups that you had the same experience, that you really appreciated hearing different perspectives and the conversation. I think I heard that thing come up that, we need to sort of share that language and share and talk about these things a little bit more. We don't get much of an opportunity. I heard some other things about field placements and tying education to those field placements. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that someone would like to react to, or an idea that has come up? I know that we're all tired. I don't know if I'm feeling it. I don't know if you're feeling it.
Just you.
So our heads have been thinking a lot. But, so no pressure. But if there's anything that you would like to share or that you feel wasn't shared or react to, let me know. Okay. Let's start with Betsy.
Danielle, I was just wondering, can you say a little bit about the dissemination of the information from the symposium?
Thank you, Betsy. Our plan is to take these lists of recommendations and we're going to compile a complete list and we'll post it on the website. Have you all seen the website? You've been there? Okay, probably. So we'll, just like the other papers, we'll post this and then we're going to take this list and disseminate it among the planners of the conference, the national committee, and we're going to come up with another list, sort of a vetted final list, and we'll post that as well. Yeah.
Just first, thank you for really organizing a phenomenal symposium. Just a quick process comment. I've been trying to digest both the breakfast burrito and the lunch and the last panel that we had before the breakout session. And I was thinking back, if I had been, just beginning of this journey, grad student, MSW student, maybe a doctoral student, I would have had whiplash and I would have been really frightened by the panel. But, after having digested it now for almost 2 hours, I think that what it says to us is that the questions that we're grappling with are very difficult and complicated questions. And we're not always going to agree on what the right course of action is, but we can have an open fight and duke it out and disagree and still be civil and still be a part of this large family that we are. So that's what that panel really said to me, that there is a bunch of people who are very senior in this career, who have tremendous respect and admiration for each other, and who are not afraid to duke it out openly. And I think that's the way that we have to frame that session and that experience. And I hope that we are all able to move forward and continue to have these very difficult discussions, even when we don't disagree. When we don't agree. Disagreeing is not a reason to stop the dialogue. We have to continue addressing these issues. So thanks for putting that together also. I know that that's
This is interesting. This is our own little panel here, because I think while it's important to have a dialogue, and I think it's important to disagree, I think it's also important not to get caught up in just the talk and the dialogue, and that I see us as all being united in coming into this field to help clients become more functioning and more present in their own lives, and that we will have different approaches, but I think that there's hope that we can all move forward in a united front, that we incorporate what the client wants from their perspective, as well as incorporating research-informed ways to do that. And one thing that we talked about in our group, and you may have said this, and I'm so sorry, because I'm definitely, my attention is like, so I'm sorry. But I'll just say it again in case you didn't. We talked about the importance, the responsibility of the researcher for really nice, easily digestible translation of results and dissemination of results. And so when we're talking about how research informs really complex cases, for us, that part of that would be, as the researcher, you go back to the communities that you serve, the agencies that serve those communities, and you share with them in a conversational way what the results were and how that's relevant for the people that they serve and how they might benefit from taking that information. Because I think a lot of times when I know as a researcher, we have to present things in a certain way to be taken seriously, but it's not like that in other parts of the society. You don't need to always present with certain verbiage and tables and statistics and all of that. You can explain your methods in a very translatable way that if people of a variety of different educational backgrounds can understand, and it's relevant to them. And I think that that's really on us as a burden of social work researchers to make this really for the people of the people.
Thank you for reminding me of that. That came up as a theme in our group as well. I think that, we have to think about this language of dissemination and sharing, I like that word, sharing the information and sharing the process as opposed to giving back, I think is what I heard. I do want to take a second and recognize Torres as well, who really supported me in the early planning stages of this event. I couldn't have pulled this off, as you know, by myself. This is a concerted effort of our college, our faculty, our students. I mentioned earlier, over 20 of our students were here helping, our staff, and so I want to thank them. I couldn't have done this without them, so.
Dr. Parrish, as a second semester PhD student, I first want to say thank you again for putting on such an amazing conference. I've learned more in the last 2 days than I have in quite some time, and I won't go into anything further about that, but I do want to say, having participated in the organization and management breakout session, one of the things that we didn't get to, and I didn't think of until later, I wish we had an opportunity to discuss, and as I thought back on it, I'm not sure, I believe I heard someone mention it, but not go into detail about the role of evidence-based policy. Because when we talk about administration, most public systems are getting their regulations, and where their policies are based out of are the regulations that are coming from legislative policy or whatever governing authorities that they have. So if we're finding that there's research and evidence based on what's best practice, then there, in my mind, has to be some focus on advocating that those best practices that we're finding in research are translating to the policy that's governing the agency's practices. So I just, I'm hopeful that this will not be the last one of these conferences. She's quiet. But that's something that, I would like to hear more about the role of advocacy for evidence-based policy for researchers and administrators.
Thank you, Frederica. I think you're right. We have a lot of work to do still. I think that's apparent from the recommendations that, I think we've identified different levels where change needs to take place, including the individual practitioner and what they do and how they make decisions and how our organizations function and how our policies impact that. So we have a lot to think about, I think, still. Thank you. Dr. Hanson.
Thank you. Something that our group talked about, which I found so exciting, and I wasn't going to say things were, reflecting on everything, but it was just a call to us as researchers and practitioners to really motivate our clients to be consumers of evidence-based practice. That here we are talking about the need for us as practitioners and researchers to work together, but what about asking our clients to put demands on us to ask for that high level of care? When they go into medicine, they ask for the most advanced treatment, the most newest drugs on the market, and if it came up from there and we let them know that they do have options, they do have that ability to ask for that, then maybe it would make us be more unified. That I think it doesn't have to just come from us to give, but they can make us required to give that to them.
How many of you ever went to WebMD and looked up symptoms? I think you make a good point. I think we can encourage clients to do that, but I think they're doing it more and more. They're going to the internet and they're coming in more and more educated. So I think we have to be prepared for that. And I don't know if any of you saw that New York Times article that came, I think it was an op-ed, where they were advising clients to go in and ask their potential therapist a series of questions. And one of those questions was, how often do you read the research? And why do you do what you do? How do you select an intervention? So I have a feeling we're going to see more and more of this out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking in particular about the group that talked about complex comorbid conditions and research around those. And so often it seems like research wants to really focus in on a real clean study. And it reminded me of looking up years ago some research on women in healthcare, even breast cancer, where most of the research was done on men because they wanted to avoid all those hormones. And thinking, but half your population has those hormones, and I hope that we look at maybe opportunities to do research in practice settings as a way of not ignoring the hormones that are out there that are going to get in the way of our study, but rather to embrace them.
Thank you. Yeah, we have a lot of populations we haven't done research with. There's a lot more work to do with that. Thank you, Gil. Anybody else? Okay. Well, we have had a long 2 days. I really want to thank you so much for taking the time to be here, for the amazing discussions we've had. I wish we would have had more time to have these discussions. And, to all of our speakers for the wonderful presentations. I hope that you find this information useful. I hope that you continue to struggle with it and the complexity of it and come up with solutions and share those with your agencies, with your educational settings, and within the research and the literature. Again, thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of the weekend. Feel free to stick around and have cookies and talk. But I think all of our brains are tired, so let's go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much.